Welcome back to the MVP of Personal Injury Law with Chelsee Sachs. I'm Kara, and today we're here with Chelsee Sachs from MVP Accident Attorneys. Today we are talking about how to file a car accident claim in Riverside and the common mistakes that quietly wreck a claim before it gets started. We are going to cover what to do at the scene, how California's pure comparative negligence system actually works, the deadlines that can end a case permanently, dealing with insurance companies, and the mistakes that hurt people the most. Whether the crash happened on I-215, the SR-91, the SR-60, or anywhere in Riverside County, this episode is for you. The first few minutes after a crash are the most important and the most disorienting. So what should someone do in the first few minutes after a car accident in Riverside to protect their claim?
So obviously they should make sure they're okay. That's 100% the first thing I always suggest is double check your body, your mind, make sure you all are right, and then make sure, of course, anyone in your vehicle is okay, because that's going to determine the next step you make. Obviously, if you're not getting a response from somebody around you, you're going to want to call 911 immediately. Then if you are okay, hopefully you're able to do so. You can assess where you are and then move your vehicle or move yourself, if you unfortunately were a pedestrian, over to a safe location. The thing here is all about safety, making sure you are as safe as you can be and that you put yourself in a safe position. If you're on certain freeways, they can be incredibly busy. We know that. We know the 91, we know all of our highways get jam-packed pretty much all the time nowadays. So you want to make sure you are in a safe location where you pull over to a shoulder. Then you're going to want to call the authorities. In Riverside, we have a ton of different law enforcement agencies that can come out and help you. And if you need it, you're going to need to call one of them. After that, you're of course going to want to document pictures, pictures, pictures.
So Riverside County has 3 different law enforcement layers depending on where the crash happened. So which agency actually responds to the car accident depending on where it happened in Riverside County?
So yes, it does depend on where you are. So you have the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, you have any local police departments, and then of course you have California Highway Patrol. So if you're on a highway, you're going to see that California Highway Patrolman coming by to help you. If you are in a different territory that's outside of one of the independent operating police stations or police departments, you're going to have the Riverside County Sheriff's Office. So honestly, in Riverside, you're very lucky. You have 3 incredibly competent types of law enforcement agencies that are going to be able to help you and that want to help you in the event of an accident.
And then a lot of people walk away from a crash in Riverside feeling fine and assume that they do not need a doctor. Where should someone in Riverside go for medical care after a crash, even if they feel fine?
I think it's always important to get yourself checked out. If you don't want to go to an emergency room, I totally understand. But we have really great options in Riverside. There's a number of urgent cares. And of course, there's also any kind of clinic where they have an MD or a nurse practitioner or your own primary care doctor. The important part of understanding an accident is that it is a trauma, right? Any type of accident can cause a lot of different trauma in your body than you could realize. So calling your primary care doctor is a great idea. If you don't have one, again, step into a number of urgent cares over in Riverside and just let them know you were in an accident, you'd like to get checked out, and they're going to do things like that to kind of make sure that you are okay. And maybe once that initial shock wears off, they can assess your body and assess any injuries that you might have that you might not even realize are there.
Yeah. And then most people don't realize there is a separate state filing on top of the police report. So does California require you to file something with the state on top of the police report after a car accident in Riverside?
Police reports aren't required. However, the SR1 form is a California DMV form, and that is required. It's called the SR1 form, and the official title is the Report of Traffic Accident Occurring in California. It's required by the DMV. It's very simple to get. You can download it from the DMV and fill it out and then return it, but you're required to do it within 10 days after an accident. You have to report it in any accident that has a death, a fatality, any injury, or any accident that causes over $1,000 of property damage. So that would include any public or private property. So it's incredibly important that you do this. If you don't file it within the 10-day timeline, you could actually face suspension of your license. If you realize you haven't done it, please do it immediately. However, if you hire an attorney, like someone in my office or another attorney office, they should often do this for you.
And then this single rule controls how much you can actually recover when your fault is shared. So how does California's pure comparative negligence rule affect a Riverside car accident claim?
I feel very lucky that we live in California with this type of rule. The fact of the matter is, California does follow the pure comparative negligence, which means you are responsible essentially for the damages that you caused yourself, but the other party who caused your damages are still responsible for the damages they caused. Other states have it so if you are at all responsible, you can't recover, which is really, really terrible, especially for someone who has been injured. So California, we follow the rule of, let's say fault is measured by 100%, correct? That's your liability. 100% is the maximum. That can then be distributed to certain parties. The third party, which would be the person who hit you or injured you, and then of course yourself or any other multiple third parties. But in our example, let's do one third party and yourself. If you are found to have been, let's say 50% liable, the other party, the third party that injured you, would be responsible for paying 50%. So you are allowed to recover still. Again, you might be upset that you can't recover the full 100%, but it's actually incredibly wonderful that we have this ability because, like I said, other states make it that if you're at that 50 or 51%, you can't recover anything. So in California, you recover regardless.
Someone has been in an accident, they have documented the scene, and they have been to see a doctor. So now what? Kind of walk us through the step-by-step process of filing a car accident insurance claim in Riverside.
So hopefully if you've documented your accident, you've seen the doctor, you've also filed your mandated DMV forms. Of course, my answer is going to be you should hire an attorney. The reason becomes you need to be reporting things to your insurance company, but there are likely things that you might want to say or not say. You might need some help navigating what to do. You're also likely going to have help navigating what your damages are and how to value those damages. So again, you definitely do need to report accidents to your insurance company. If you're insured, you have to. So you don't want to not be talking to your insurance company. Certain things will occur depending on your injury, depending on what medical care you need, depending on whether your insurance company or the third party insurance company, you have to file a claim with them as well to alert them, right? That's what filing a claim is. It's alerting your insurance company that these things happened. So you need to do all of those things. And those things can be quite tricky. They also have time limitations. And so does filing a lawsuit, which will come potentially later on. So definitely you want to be really mindful about the timeline, and you don't want to take too long to do any of these things because California has pretty tight deadlines on a lot of things like filing claims, statute of limitations for filing a lawsuit, and you really need to be mindful of those.
Beyond the basics, there is a lot of evidence that can tip the scale in a high traffic county like Riverside. What evidence beyond photos and medical records can make or break a Riverside car accident claim?
Dash cams, they're incredible. Ring cameras, footage of really any video is where I'm going. We like to always look for videos around a scene of an accident so it can help get us a picture of what happened. And also other things like reports about the area, traffic signal reports. Did someone actually run a red light or not? What's called a SWITRS report, which is other accidents that have happened in that area to see if maybe someone else has some blame for something that wasn't actually fixed or wasn't done. So a lot of different evidence can come about that can actually shape who's responsible or how someone can be held responsible in California.
And then I know you already kind of discussed this, but how long do you have to file a car accident lawsuit in Riverside, California? And what causes you to lose your right to sue if the deadline passes?
So that's called the statute of limitations. And the statute of limitations in California is incredibly strict. If you miss it, you are barred from recovery. That's as simple as that. Don't miss it. Except for in California, generally speaking, I call it your normal car accident between two motor vehicles, it's 2 years. However, that can actually change depending on who hit you. So again, it's really important to understand who the defendant is, meaning who the party is that injured you. If you have any type of government claim or any government entity could be responsible from your belief, that's only 6 months. And you have to do certain things. You have to file a government claim with those agencies you believe are responsible, all of them. And then you have to file a lawsuit depending on what they respond back. All of those have very specific timelines. That's a 6-month deadline, completely different. If you miss that, again, you're in trouble. Of course, there are exceptions to a lot of things, but the government claim one, there's no exception to missing your statute of limitations, generally speaking, within 2 years.
And then this is a situation no one expects to be in until it happens. So what should you do if the at-fault driver in Riverside is uninsured or they flee the scene?
Really a big deal, and actually does happen a lot more than you think. So, two ways to protect yourself. One, obviously, if someone flees the scene, you're going to want to call a law enforcement agency. Wherever you are, get the CHP, get the independent police department, or get the sheriff's department. Whoever is in that area and can respond, have them respond. You're going to want to document that you were hit and that you were hit by somebody and they fled the scene. Again, it's very possible for them to collect some of that evidence with the cameras around and certain things, or maybe they can find some witnesses to help us identify maybe who fled the scene and then enable us to actually go after them. In terms of someone who's not insured, that's where your insurance comes in. And that's where protecting yourself, uninsured motorist coverage, which is the same thing, UIM, we combine it together. Insurance really matters. I know we all want people to be held responsible for who hurt us, right? We want people to be held responsible for people who cause injury to us and do other things. The issue, of course, becomes that not everyone takes the responsibility that we want them to take. While we as attorneys fight day and night to make sure people take responsibility, the best way to protect yourself is to make sure you have UIM insurance. And that's so that if somebody flees the scene and we can never find them, or someone is there but they have no insurance, you can still have a right to recovery through your own insurance.
And then what are the most common mistakes that hurt a California car accident claim in Riverside the most?
I would say delay in medical treatment, not understanding and assessing your body properly and knowing when something's off. If you are injured in a car accident, don't just wait for it to heal and get better on its own. There are all kinds of different injuries to your body that really you might not be aware of the gravity. It's important in California to make sure that you're mitigating those damages by seeing a doctor and getting those injuries assessed, and then, of course, getting the treatment to get them better. In addition, social media, it's a real problem, right? You're kind of explaining, we're trying to explain how you're injured. And again, obviously, you don't want this to take over your life. Most people don't sit at home all day after they've been injured after a car accident. They try and live their best life. But your best life on Instagram or TikTok, where we, tend to embellish, I would say, a lot of times really can and will hurt your personal injury case. You're living a life or you're showcasing a life that isn't really your life, but who are we to believe? So I would say delay medical treatment and social media are probably two of the worst culprits.
Wow. Chelsee, this has been incredibly valuable. For someone listening right now who has just been in a car accident in Riverside, what are the main things that you want them to remember?
I hope that they are okay, and I want them to take care of themselves. At the end of the day, people say, oh, attorneys this, attorneys that. We're here to help. We're here to navigate this very confusing time for you. Being in a car accident is traumatic, not only physically and mentally, emotionally, but it's also incredibly chaotic in the aftermath of things that you have to do that you might not realize. So please go ahead and give us a call. It's free, and we're here to help you as best we can. And again, just remember to take care of yourself. This is important, to take care of your body, your mind, and make sure that you're going to get back to where you were before the accident.
If you've been in a car accident in Riverside, Moreno Valley, Corona, or anywhere in Riverside County, and you are not sure what to do next, make the call. You can find MVP accident attorneys at themvp.com or call them directly at 833-MVP-WINS. That's 833-MVP-WINS. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time on the next episode of the MVP Personal Injury Law with Chelsee Sachs.